The reason I became a philosopher was that since I was a boy, I always felt existence was weird. Here we are. Isn't that odd? What's odd stands out. What's even lies flat. But you can't see the outstanding without the flat background. Each one of you is odd, unique, different. How do we know what we mean by that? Except against the background of something even, like space. And so you get this philosophical itch. You begin to scratch your head and think about, why is that so? Well, after a while, you realize that's a meaningless question. And you ask, how is it so? Well, that leads you into science and other investigation. You want to know, what is it? This thing called existence. What is it? You ask that question long enough and it hits you that if you could answer it, you wouldn't know what terms to put the answer in. When we investigate nature, we get some answers in terms of structures, forms, patterns. And these can be measured, and their behavior can be predicted. When I want to ask, what are the forms made of? What is it really? We can't think of any way in which we could answer the question, because we would have to have a class of all classes. When you ask what, it's like saying, is you is or is you ain't? Is you animal? Is you vegetable? Is you mineral? Are you a Republican or a Democrat? Male or female? Christian, Jew, Hindu? We classify to answer what is it. When you classify, you distinguish an inside group from an outside group. So what is the group of all groups? Well, we can't imagine the outside, so we can't answer the question. What is it? So the physicists finally abandoned the quest for stuff, and they gave us a description of the universe entirely in terms of form. The pattern, not the stuff. And people ask, what's the what? Yeah, but you can't do that. What's the pattern made of? Surely there mustn't be an answer to that. See, what happens is, when you turn up the microscope, all stuff turns into form. It becomes articulate. The carpet looks like some sort of stuff. But when you look at it under a microscope, you will see the crystalline structure of the nylon or whatever it's made of. See? They want to know, what are those crystals made of? All right, turn up the volume, and you will find molecules. We think the wavicles must be of something, but they're not. The substance vanishes. We say, does it matter? Does it measure up to anything? Matter comes from a Sanskrit root, matra, which means to measure. From this root, we get the word maya. And maya is generally translated illusion, although it also means magic, creative power. The word illusion, switch over, we get that from Latin, and that comes from the Latin ludere, to play. Let's pretend we matter. The world is a musical phenomenon. Good music never refers to anything except itself. You don't ask Mr. Bach, Mr. Ravi Shankar, what do you mean by this music? Listen, that's the meaning. Giraffes are giraffing, trees are treeing, stars are starring, clouds are clouding, rain is raining. And if you don't understand, look again. And people are people. We notice all these suchnesses appear and disappear. They keep changing, they come and go. But if you get hung up on your particular form, your form makes a duality. Whereas you are your form. You're what you're doing. Now you think, I must make that go on as long as possible. And therefore you think you have an instinct to survive. The only thing anybody can agree about today, so far as the discussion of ethical and moral problems are concerned, is that we ought to survive. And therefore, certain forms of conduct have survival value and certain forms don't. But when you say you must go on living, you put yourself in a double bind, because you said to a process which is essentially spontaneous, that it must happen. And the basic form of the double bind, which is imposed upon all children, is you are required to do that which will be acceptable only if you do it voluntarily. When we say, you must go on, we are not living in the eternal now, where reality is. We are always thinking that the satisfaction of life will be coming later. Don't kid yourself. Which is to say, only suckers put hope in the future.